Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Chasing the Art of Creativity. My name is Luca. I am your host, your cheerleader, and very occasional bad joke teller. On this podcast, we celebrate passions, purposes, and just the creatives in general. And I always like to throw in a whole lot of heart. And I always think to myself, before I start when I started this podcast, I had an idea in mind, and I had a few guests that were in the back of my mind. And the funny thing was, this is going to sound crazy. When I was going through some of my old photo albums, there is a picture of me, and I'm about 4 or 5 years old. I'm maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I'm with my sister at our local mall. And we went to see the Saddle Club was there. And I'm not sure if anyone else knows the Saddle Club. Very iconic. If you know iconic Australian TV, you'll know how influential that was to everyone. And thankfully, I reached out to the effervescent Lara Jean Marshall, who has agreed to come on and have a chat to me about her life, her purposes, and her career, and just what makes her world turn. So, Lara, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Happy to be here. I'm so glad that you were at the Westfield Mall and cheering us on.
I was. That is the first time I'd met you guys. So we have actually met before. I probably wouldn't remember, and you probably wouldn't remember,
Yeah.
but there you go.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, I know, and it's we've done our separate things in the meantime, and yeah, you're down in Victoria at the moment doing some work for Power FM Ballarat. What's that like?
Yeah, I'm a radio breakfast show announcer. So basically, I gave up acting around maybe 30 years old, and I went into studying journalism through the COVID times. I had my first radio broadcast job straight out of journalism school, which I was very lucky because that doesn't always happen to people. I went to Hamilton, I did my year there, and then I got this amazing opportunity. My sister-in-law was actually at a party and she met my co-host at the time, and he said, I'm looking for, a breakfast co-host. And she was like, why not my sister-in-law? And so that all got started there. And 2 years later, I've been at Ballarat Power FM as the breakfast announcer there, and just having a really great time here. I love connecting with the community here. I love being wacky and weird, and just myself, really. And people seem
Yeah.
to like it. And yeah, I've made a real community and a real home here in Ballarat.
And it's about making that impact. It's about having a legacy. So I assume, jumping from acting into radio, was it a weird shift into was it a change that you had welcomed or you were preparing for, or was it just sort of like last minute? It's like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. I'm ready to start a new chapter in my life.
I think I wanted to just start fresh. I had always been in acting since I was tiny, 7 years old. My first professional production was Les Miserables at 10 years old at the Princess Theatre. And I'd done it all my life. And so I felt like I'd never gone and done anything else. And it just seems like it was another life. And
Yep.
then this new life is my radio, and it's my, connecting with the community and doing content and everything on radio instead of in front of the camera. It's got similar things, but it's also very different. And I like the stories that we hear around the community and connecting with those listeners on those different stories. So it's still got that storytelling aspect. It's still got that connecting with people aspect, but very different at the same time.
Completely different. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. As someone that has thought about, I started off as acting and started to think about a career in radio. It definitely felt like a bit of a shift because personally, like I do like to yap. I do talk a lot. And that's something people have definitely, they've mentioned to me. They say, look, maybe the acting thing won't work out, but why not just try podcasting or radio? Because, you connect with people, you've got this rapport, you've got this energy that I think a lot of people would love. And it is good to hear something positive come out of that. It sounds like you're absolutely crushing it at the moment, which I'm so happy for you. But what we're going
For you to send out your resume to me.
to... What is it like? A Sydney kid, a Sydney kid living in Ballarat. What's the community like in Ballarat?
Oh, it's amazing. Lots of people just connecting. Last year actually was part of Dancing with the Stars Ballarat,
Oh, no way.
but in Ballarat. And I didn't know a lot of people when I came to Ballarat. Well, not at all.
Mm.
And doing Dance with the Stars really connected me to so many different people and so many different people who are doing different things in this community. And it's all brought us together. So I finally have like a family in Ballarat. And the people are very giving. You know, if you need something, they're always there to lend a hand. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just find that people like to be quirky here and a bit different and fun loving and everything like that, and inviting you
Awesome.
over to the
Oh, that's
neighbour
amazing.
barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah. So with with this Dancing with the Stars Ballarat, were there any other notable names that a lot of people might have heard of through the grapevine, or notable icons or anything like that?
Look, I don't think so in terms of that, but I mean, definitely pillars of the community here. We had people in uh, the racing industry, Zumba, doing
Mm.
charity work,
Yeah,
estate work.
Everyone's a star in their own way.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back and we're going to take you back in time. We're going to go on our little theoretical time machine. Back, young Lara, you were born in Reading in England. What age did you move to Australia?
I was only a baby. My dad and my mum are Australian, and dad was training as a doctor in Reading, in the dodgy end. And he had the choice at the end of his studying over there to have a work placement there and be there at a hospital, or to come over to Australia and eventually kind of open his own practice.
Mm.
And he decided to come to Australia. Just thought that the living would be better, and what you get for your money and everything like that. So they came back, and yeah, they were very happy being in Australia, very connected, back with their parents and everything, my
Yeah.
grandparents.
The roots, exactly.
Two brothers now, so
That's
they're very cheeky. I'm the oldest. I look after them.
You're the breadwinner out of the siblings.
Oh, I don't
yeah.
think so. They are doing very well for themselves.
Fantastic. Oh, that's good. That's great to hear. So, growing up in Victoria, and were you immersed in acting growing up from a very young age, or was there like an influence that sort of persuaded you to get into that sort of line of work or that path? Was it more just you manifested it naturally, or you saw something and went, "That's exactly what I want to do"?
I mean, I always performed in front of my family. I set up torches around the living room and do dances and singing. And I'd pull my cousins in to do things too, and they'd be like, please don't do that. I don't want to be part of it. I'm like, come on. And yeah, I'd call them to perform with me, and my parents were like, okay, she's got all this energy. She's always
Yeah.
on the go. She's always doing something weird. Let's put her into acting. Let's put her in some dancing classes, singing
Yes.
classes.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly like dancing too much, but I loved the singing and acting. And
Yeah.
and then something came up in the paper where it was Les Miserables, and we went to this audition where it was ages. It was like an all-day audition,
Mm.
and I got the part. And I remember actually being in that audition room, and I was singing Castle on a Cloud, and there was a girl giggling behind me. And they actually asked her to leave and cry. And they said, okay, have another go. And so I sang, and then, yeah, I got the part of Little Eponine, not because they probably thought, oh, she's going to cry like that on stage if someone laughs in the audience. Let's not give her that job.
Sure.
But yeah, I got that. And then my parents were just kind of shocked because, they're academics, and they were just like, what do we do with this little black sheep, of the family? Because
This little star, yeah, potential star. Wow.
crazy girl. And I just remember I was sitting on the sidelines watching Rachel Beck sing I Dreamed a Dream, and I just fell in love with her, fell in love
What
with
an incredible song. My God.
the whole performance, live theatre.
Yeah.
It was just a thing. Did you ever listen to the Susan Boyle? I'm sure you would have. It was so popular. The Susan Boyle, I Dreamed a Dream. Honestly, like that was just, it's sensational. And that's something that I think a lot of people, when getting into acting and singing, like they've wanted to use that in a very purposeful and positive way. And, getting on stage and doing, such a notorious production like Les Miserables would have been so iconic. And just performing in front of so many people, I felt like you could have, you took that step. At first you're performing in front of your family, 4 people, then you're performing in front of 400. And it's a completely immersive experience. And, it must have been just so wonderful to be a part of that. And then we move on. Obviously, look, it does get brought up a lot, the Saddle Club. So how did that sort of journey, where did the journey start? Like the audition process, like how did you get into that?
Well, I don't know what made me go for the audition, but I know that my mum got an agent for me, and the first audition that I got was the Saddle Club. So there was a couple of different auditions, and I went in riding gear, and then I
Oh, yeah.
full ball gown dress.
Oh, wow.
They sent me to makeup at one point and put my hair in a ponytail to see what that would look
Yeah,
like.
you really were. You were just like straight away. You're just like, I'm here for it. I want it.
Yeah, well, they did all this. I mean, they dressed me up. They put my hair back. All I did was do the acting and pretend to fall over in a scene where Lisa falls off her horse.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to do a chemistry read with Keenan, who plays Carol, on my last audition, and we just clicked. Like we were just two peas in a pod, and we just
Street, yeah. Wow.
been friends ever since then. And I remember the call, and my parents were downstairs, and I was upstairs, and they were like, "Hey, do you want this role? You've got it on the Saddle Club." And I just went, "Okay." And they were like, "You'll have to take a couple of months off school." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, please."
Yeah.
At the time, but the cultural significance that show had on young Australians, and especially me growing up. Look, I was, I used to think that I was like, the traditional guy. I was like, look, I watch my cartoons and stuff like that. But when the Saddle Club came on, I had felt such just passion for it. I was so engaged in that show. And starting out, first episode, were you, because, you had just transitioned from on stage to screen. Were you a little bit nervous when, when sort of moving into the on-screen acting? Or was it just natural to you? Were you like, yeah, I could just do this?
No, I think I'm always nervous doing things. The only thing that I don't really get nervous at is just being my wacky self. But I think definitely on set, when you've got people looking at you, you've got lights in your eyes, you have to do certain directions of, putting the horse in the stall while you're chatting about this and that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're getting, you're having long days of 4 a.m. to 7 at night, and you're coming home, you're having a shower, and you're doing all the lines for the next day. There's a lot of pressure on you all the time.
Yeah.
But I just tried to have fun with everything I was doing. The girls and I would have fun. The crew members would have fun with us. So we tried to steer away from, I guess, the nervousness and all of that, and just have fun with it all. And we did have fun, and it was a great show. And I'm so glad that so many people found so much joy with it, because we had joy doing it.
100%. And I feel like, when that first episode had landed and, you had already created, what was going to be one of the most significant shows of the early 2000s. And be honest here, how good were you at horse riding? Like before the show, did you have any sort of like, were there any mishaps on set or anything like that? Because I've seen a few of the episodes, and like there's definitely like the close-ups of you where you're sort of like moving in the background. It doesn't look like you're on a horse, but it's the immersion of it. Were there any like any sort of awkwardness on set, or a bit uncomfortable with the horse riding?
I mean, not really. It was just when we did start, I only knew how to go on a trail ride. I mean, I was 12 years old. You have to think I'm a 12-year-old
Yeah, oh, you're young.
peninsula.
Hmm.
So that we trained up for a month before the Saddle Club started with the Lord of the Rings horse trainers.
Oh, no way. Wow.
We were very lucky to get that experience, and we learned a lot of horse riding. We did a lot of our horse riding in season one, not so much, the cantering and things like that, no
Yeah.
jumping. They were much more, careful about not having us hurt. And obviously, we weren't that experienced riders.
Mm.
But I loved horse riding after that. Obviously, the Saddle Club just made me love horses after that and love riding and connect to
Yeah.
horses in a very different way. And then in
Exactly.
season two, we did a lot of our own riding and we did some jumping too, even though we did
Yeah.
have stunt doubles.
The stunt doubles, yes.
We had a scene where I fell off the horse and had to roll.
Yeah.
Is that's the one where you go in the coma? Yeah, yeah.
I obviously didn't do that. Like that was a stunt double. I,
Yeah.
would have probably hurt myself if I tried to do that.
It was brutal. It's a brutal fall. So fair play to that stunt double. That's it's intense.
But I did fall off my horse at some point, and I remember I was like, I don't want to get back straight on, and I was really scared.
Scary. Yeah.
The trainer said, no, if you don't get on the horse now, you never will. So get on the horse.
Yeah.
And I just went, okay.
Yeah.
But that's it's a way of just you're throwing yourself into the deep end, and it's always going to scare people. I mean, acting in general is scary. When you start, to some people as well. I remember when I was doing my first, on-screen gigs, I was terrified. And then down the line, I started getting into stunt work as well. So I was a stuntman for quite a while. And I'll never forget the day that I had to do my first fire stunt, where I get completely set on fire.
Fire.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that, I don't like fire. Fire's great, in winter. But, when it's in a fireplace, not on me. Do you know what I mean? So I was just, and my instructor, he could tell that I was just really nervous, and he just comes up to me and he just says, like, think about how rewarding it will be once you've done it. You've got, there's 20, 30 people around you that are trained to help you out if anything were to go wrong. The footage is going to look amazing. Just do it. And that we're going back to exactly what the trainer's saying. It's like, if you don't get on that horse, you'll live the rest of your life wondering why you didn't. So, yeah, it's fantastic, and obviously, it is everyone's dream. I guess every kid's dream to live out this sort of experience. Was there any point when you were filming or when you were playing Lisa that you were just thinking, "Wow, like I'm really living everyone's dream, just riding horses and playing a character that does this stuff"?
I think because I was on set, I was sheltered away from kind of people watching it and things like that. So Keenan, Sophie, and I would have so much fun on set and with the horses and the crew, that when we actually did see the effect that it had on people at the Westfield malls, out, walking down the street, and people would start singing Hello World, the theme song to us. Start to feel the effect until that, and saw how much people cherished it and loved it. And I've had so many people cry to me. I've actually had someone cry today. I was at a meeting and a girl came up to me and she started crying, and she's like, you were my childhood. Like, now I'm watching it again on stand with my own child, and she's enjoying it. I'm going, wow, it still has an effect on people even to today. And I didn't even, it was just something that I did and that I loved doing.
It's incredible. It must be, because when I contacted you and, you agreed to come on, the first thing that I did, and me and my sister did, because my sister was probably the biggest Saddle Club fan. And if she knew that I was recording with you right now, she'd be completely fangirling, and obviously, and we just sat down and we binge watched the entire first season. And it just hits you like the memories come flooding back, and it's the importance of it. And I was actually going to ask you, were there any weird or crazy fan interactions? But I think you've summed it up there. If people are coming up and crying to you, saying like, look, you have left such a significant impact on my life, not only mine, but my kids. It must feel unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it is that connection, and that I think it's the nostalgia for them, because it's not just about the show; it's bringing them back to their childhood. It's bringing back to their memories, or where they were at that time, or running, home from school to see the Saddle Club. It's about themselves as well. And I wouldn't say that they're crazy experiences that I've had. I mean, it's crazy that and I've been blown away that they have had such emotions to it, which is so beautiful and heartwarming. But I would say like the craziest person that I saw is when we were at a Westfield mall singing, and they were going up one escalator and I was going down the other, and they like grabbed out for my hair.
Oh no. Really? Oh wow.
And it was quite scary, as like I think I was 15 at that time. And it's scary that a man goes to grab your hair, and he's got badges of your face all over his
It's
backpack. I mean,
That is just that's it's intense, yeah, and I can see how it would put you off from going out in public like that. But it's good to see that it's those experiences you learn, and you just you associate yourself with the public, and it must be just incredible feeling though, getting out on stage and just sing and act in front of people that completely admire you. They are just in awe of what you do.
I mean, it's always, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that I got the role, that I had the chance to be a part of it, that I got to meet Sophie and Keenan, that I got to get away from school for a couple of months. It was beautiful. And we made albums as well. We got to sing, which was another
yeah.
passion of mine. We got to, go to the arias and everything. And I met a lot of my own, personal inspiring people and things like that. So it really brought a lot to my life, and I've got so
Yeah.
many memories. I'm just very lucky.
Oh yeah, and going back to one of those memories, you were involved in one episode with a pretty he's quite a well known actor, Chris Hemsworth. I think that's who it is, Chris Hemsworth. Now, obviously, he wasn't as big in that day than what he is now, but having him on set and working with someone like that, were there people out there just developing mini crushes on him, because he's a very good looking man.
Yes, I mean, it was his first TV gig ever. So he talks about it even now, that it was his first TV gig. He was on the set, and of course, all of us have had crushes. We were just, going, oh my goodness, he's a golden god, like gorgeous. Little did we know that he'd soon be an actual kind of god.
It would be he'd be Thor, yeah.
But he was only 19 or something. So he was just young. We were young. He came in just to do his, guest episode for the one
Yeah.
episode. He did
He plays
well.
he plays the bad vet nurse, doesn't he? Or like the rude vet nurse.
Yes. And it was funny because I think Chris says on one of his interviews that he's done, it's funny that he was a vet at 19 years old, because you'd never really be a vet at 19 years old, because you'd have to do study and things like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Really awesome job, and obviously it's great to say, oh, I worked with Chris Hemsworth.
Exactly. Oh, it looks pretty good on a resume, wouldn't it? Wow. So once you had sort of said goodbye to the Saddle Club and the Saddle Club Ventures, what did you do? So this is, we're going sort of between when you started radio and when you finished the Saddle Club. Was there any other acting gigs that you wanted to be a part of, or were there any other, passions that you were chasing that you wanted to be involved in?
Look, I was on Miss Fisher's Murders for an episode, and I studied acting for about 3 years, so that was a lot of my time at the VCA for Bachelor of Dramatic Arts. So that was a lot of my time. I studied another year at NIDA with doing certificate courses in directing, and
Wow.
also did a year of music theatre. I did a lot of study. So when I look back, I'm going, oh my gosh, I spent a lot of my time studying and not enough time actually auditioning and
Yeah.
getting out there. Like I
Yeah.
was just, yeah, I don't know what that was about, but I had a good time doing it. It was just a thing of, I got to a point where I was like, I just want to go to Vancouver. I want to use that working permit, go over and have fun, as well as see what I can do in the acting industry.
Yeah.
And then I eventually went to LA as well, had a similar thing. But I think I got caught up with the lifestyles there. I just got caught up
Yeah.
with the lifestyles, and I guess I didn't focus enough on my acting. And yeah, I just don't think, yeah, I committed enough to it. And I do have some regrets over that. I do
Cool.
still
Yeah.
go, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I had these amazing opportunities of being in LA and Vancouver and living there for 5 years for all up. And I really didn't make enough use on what I was actually supposed to be there for. But it's okay, things happen, and I made great friends. I got to do lots of different things, and I was involved in a production called We Were Tomorrow as well, working with Guyton Grantley and Alicia Bennett and people like that. So
Yeah.
I made a whole lot of friends through that. Got to have a
Yeah.
lot of fun with that. I think that's going to be coming out on Amazon Prime soon.
Oh, fantastic! We'll be tuned in to watch that. That's gonna be great.
Sci-fi series, and I play the baddie. So
Ah,
never played the baddie before.
do you like the idea of playing a baddie over a good guy?
Look, I like all characters. I think, I think the baddies are always more fun, and there's always more
Of
to
course.
work with. And I,
Yeah.
I think you've got to not see them as baddies. You've got to see people as
Sophisticated and mysterious.
the right thing.
Yes.
Inside, they think they're right, and that they've
Yes.
been hurt for this reason, and this is why they've got to do that. I think if you just look at them as baddies, then it
Yeah.
would be hard to act them. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, what do they say? They say evil is created, not born. So, I mean, there's always that sort of aspect to it. But no, that's fantastic. It sounds like you're really sort of you're getting into the. It was good that you were getting into the element of working outside of the Saddle Club, and you would just find dipping your hands into a few pies and just saying, look, this is something I really want to do. I want to travel. I want to explore. I want to be immersed in still in acting and the scenery. But when you came back, you decided, look, radio is the way to go. And when you were first sort of like starting out in radio, were there moments when you're on air, or you're doing a piece and you just get a bit flustered and you wouldn't know what to say, or was it all just natural to you because you're such a confident speaker?
Because I started in journalism first, so I was a news reporter. I
Yeah.
had to have, a well-pronounced voice and be able to, uh, you know, talk about all kinds of things, politics, whatever, and talk about it professionally and in a neutral way. So going from that to being in a breakfast show where it was a bit more casual, and you had to be a bit more kooky and weird in yourself, and you have to be genuine, and you do have opinions and things like that. It was totally different. So I had to loosen up. I had
Yeah.
to find my voice again and shake it up a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, of course.
And definitely, I have opinions. So I say my opinions all the time, and yeah,
Yeah.
I just have fun with things,
Just
really.
on a
And
little
now,
tangent.
Yeah, of course. It's the way to do it sometimes. And I always feel like radio is just sort of it's a projection of your mind. You're essentially, and that's what podcasting as well. I usually I come into a podcast with the idea of what I know what I'm going to talk about, but I never really know what I am going to talk about. It just cut into random little tangents. I'm like, and I guess you have to suit the personality for it. And, I feel like you just suit that radio, you suit the announcer, and you bring such joy to people in the morning because they hear you on the radio and and your voice, and you're just bubbly, and it's one of the most important things about radio. So
oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you.
you're very welcome.
Trying to get a radio job.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm just trying to. Just trying to butter you up a little bit. I'm just trying to be, a bit of nepotism. I would say I'm going to ask you a question about radio here. What is the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you when working in radio? Because I'm guessing it can be incredibly chaotic. Has there just been anything just awkward or weird or just completely crazy that has happened?
My gosh, crazy on the radio. I think that's just an everyday thing. We
It probably would be. Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint one moment, wouldn't it? Because it's all chaotic.
all the time asking about things. I mean, I had someone the other day call me up and go, I just want to let you know I've lost my parrot. Can you please let everyone know that there's a lost parrot? And I'm just,
There's a parrot in Ballarat. It's flying around.
parrot in Ballarat that escaped, and we're all supposed to look out for this parrot. And he actually did find the parrot in the end and gave me a call and said, we found the parrot.
There you go. That's the power of radio. That is the power of radio. It's good. It's good, and that it sort of connects the community together because it's a quite a small gated community, but everyone works for each other, and it's a very wholesome story. I feel so, but I completely agree. When working in radio, every day is chaotic. There's not really any just particular moment that stands out. So moving on into your sort of, I would say, I would define it as sort of like activism, environmental and animal activism. So after the Saddle Club had finished, did you sort of, well, you would have had a more sort of a better understanding of horses, but I guess appreciation of the industry of like saving animals and conservation. What were some things that you did or things that you took up that sort of helped you be that type of person and helping and saving animals?
Well, I was away for a long time, and then I came back, and I really have always loved horses and giving back, doing charity. I've been involved with a couple of charity organizations, and one that just really spoke to me was Karina's nonprofit, which is Angel Guardians. Angel Lodge Question Guardians. It's a big mouthful. And Karina does great work there. She's, a solo female with lots of volunteers that help out the horses. She basically gets these horses that are mistreated and abused from racetracks, who are just dumped, who are, when someone's passed on, they're not looked after and they're left, just in fields and paddocks and things like that. And she takes them all in and she gives them a home, she feeds them, she clothes them. She really gives them everything they need to feel good again. So I do volunteer from time to time there, and I
Fantastic.
love it when I go there. So my favorite horse is Eddie,
Eddie, beautiful.
and also Scarlet. Scarlet has one eye, and they all have something
They're all unique in their own way.
dealing with,
Mm.
and you have to be very, very cautious, very gentle with them. Some can't even have carrots and things like that. Some have
Yeah.
arthritis. um, and Karina makes sure they're all looked after, and I've done several things down there to try and promote them, to try and get people to raise money
Yeah.
for Angel Lodge, and she
Fantastic.
does a great job down there. And it just
Yeah.
connects me back with horses. I mean, I smell that smell of hay, and I smell the smell of
Yeah.
horses
It just takes you back, doesn't it? Yeah.
straight back, and to give them some love and some cuddles and things like that. I mean, it brings joy
Yeah.
to me too.
Yeah. It would be such a caring and fostering environment. And sometimes, horses I feel are severely misunderstood. Like being on a farm for most of my life with my grandparents and having 4 beautiful horses to deal with, and you gain such an understanding of how these creatures work, and you need to respect them before they sort of respect you, and they are such gorgeous creatures. I think a lot of people are intimidated by their size, but once you get to know them more, they are just some of the most gentle, most beautiful creatures on earth.
They
Yeah.
really are, and they deserve more love and more
Absolutely.
appreciation. And
So to end this segment, I'll ask you one last question before we go into the Would You Rathers. What's something about the world that you would like to change and make a positive influence with? Like personally, what would you do to change the world?
yeah, I think that, fashion is a big one. There's a lot of fast fashion out there. We see a lot of places use sweatshops overseas and things like that. Instead of buying so many new clothes all the time, I
Mm,
think that I and others could do better. And, if we don't, have things that we're wearing,
yeah.
then maybe do something where someone had a great idea the other day where you line up all your clothes and you turn the hook around or the coat hanger around when you've used that thing for the year. And if you've got coat hangers that haven't been turned around in that year, you either donate them, sell them, or give them to a friend or something. We need to start this more.
Kids. Well,
Wow. Yeah.
Hoarders. We're becoming hoarders and keeping
yes.
all this stuff, or we're just throwing away cheap stuff when it breaks because it's so cheaply
Sustainability is
made.
the key
Key word.
word,
And so
of course. Yeah.
sustainability, re-wearing things, op shopping more, you know, even making some clothes or things like that. So, yeah, I think there's a lot that can be done with that.
Fantastic answer to a pretty question. I don't know. I didn't even know what I was trying to ask then. I kind of just went into my own little tangent there. But honestly, you saved it with a fantastic answer. So
I don't know about that.
anyway, moving on, we are going into my favorite segment in the podcast, the Would You Rather. Now, are you familiar with Would You Rather? Have you played it much before?
I am familiar with Would You Rather. We play it on the radio from time to time. It's a lot of fun.
Very engaging. So we got 5 Would You Rather questions. Now, these are all related to either sort of Australian TV or just growing up in Australia. You know, all that nostalgia. Australian nostalgia here. So are you ready for the first Would You Rather?
Right.
Hit you with this one. Oh, it's a good one. Would you rather have a guest cameo in Round the Twist or have a guest cameo in H2O Just Add Water?
Round the Twist.
Gotta be
It's so me. I love Round the Twist.
The Lighthouse?
It felt like this. Strange things happen. I'm going round the twist.
Iconic. Did you ever go to the actual lighthouse of where it was filmed?
No, I've always wanted to.
It's in Victoria, isn't it?
I know, and I just haven't got over there. But my boyfriend and I are just huge fans.
It's one of it. I'd say apart from the Saddle Club, I think Round the Twist has got to be easily in the top 3 of iconic. So very good answer. I like H2O, Just Add Water. I mean, that's where everyone gets the whole clear, no, sort of, you know. That's where they get that from. But Round the Twist, unbeatable and fantastic. All right, second Would You Rather. Would you rather have Alf Stewart from Home and Away call you a flamin' galah every morning, or have Harold Bishop from Neighbours serenade you with a tuba solo every night before bed? Now, are you a Home and Away? Were you a Home and Away person or a Neighbours person?
I was a bit of each. Yeah, I did like Neighbours though, and yeah, that is a hard one.
Alf Stewart, icon. Once again, another icon. Flamin' galah.
Flaming Galah, because it's very Australian as well. Flaming Galah.
I'm very biased when it comes to Home and Away because I actually live quite close to the set of where it is filmed. Beautiful. Summer Bay, as they call it, is truly a bay you must go to in summer. It is fantastic. So I probably would go the same as well. I never really got into Neighbours, but I feel like a lot of Melburnians, a lot of Victorians like Neighbours, and a lot of Sydney heads like Home and Away. Moving on to the third, Would You Rather. Would you rather live in the Ferrells' share house but have to do all the cleaning, or live with the Wiggles but they break into song every time you try to have a serious conversation with them?
Oh, the Wiggles. Oh, definitely the Wiggles. I actually spoke to one of the Wiggles, Johnny, the Purple Wiggle.
Yes.
Got a new album, country album coming out with Dasher. So definitely, if they were singing to me at every moment, I would just join in with them, and that's the way to live. Just sing and dance, really.
I was always hoping as a kid that the Saddle Club and the Wiggles and like Round the Twist would all merge together like Avengers Endgame. You know what I mean? Like one big crossover.
Oh. I mean, we could still do it. I mean, I remember actually going to the Arias and we were up for Best Children's Album against them. And I went to them after, because we obviously lost against the Wiggles. And I was like, oh, congratulations. And they're like,
Not a bad team to lose to be honest.
no, I mean, they're fabulous, aren't they? Everyone's into them. And they're huge in America too.
Oh, massive all around the world. I mean, it's just that influence of, 5 or 6 people dressing up in different coloured turtlenecks and singing some of the most iconic songs of all time. And if you grew up and you didn't know Hot Potato, you didn't live.
So,
Yeah.
The Ferrells, I never really watched the Ferrells, and honestly, who would do the cleaning? It is a messy place. So very that's a simple one there. Now this one is this one actually has a Saddle Club scenario in it. Would you rather be stuck riding Patch from the Saddle Club, who never listens, obviously, for a week, or have to take care of Bluey's dad Bandit while he's sick and being extra dramatic?
Oh, always Patch. I'm always going to choose Patch. Patch is my...
Patch is great, but yeah, there were times when Patch just wouldn't listen.
Patch had an opinion and, wouldn't go and everything. And obviously, had an attitude, but
Yeah.
I'm going to always love Patch, and that's just who Patch is.
You know what destroyed me when I was a kid? What episode destroyed me? It was when Veronica does the race with her little rival and tries to jump over with her horse Cobalt, and Cobalt unfortunately passes away. They have to put her down, and that was heartbreaking for me as a kid. And it's just
Everyone was sad about that, actually. I get messages even today, DMs all the time about Cobalt's death.
yeah, sad, incredibly sad. But that's the show. You got to have sad moments.
In real life, let's just
I know. Yes, you got to have the good with the bad. Totally get that. The last, would you rather? Would you rather have Healthy Harold follow you around everywhere, constantly giving you life advice in his slow giraffe voice, or have to perform a weekly puppet show as Healthy Harold in front of a room full of judgmental primary school kids?
I don't know who Healthy Harold is.
Really? Oh, you never did Healthy Harold?
No, I was like more like the round the twist, the squiggle man with the
Squiggle.
the squiggle. I loved Daria.
Oh, Daria was fantastic. I only found out.
Na.
And I only found out the other week that Daria was a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead. Did you?
Oh,
She's a character. She's a character in their class, and she's a spin-off character. And I had no idea until last week. So, learning new things at 26.
Yeah.
To be in. So Healthy Harold was essentially this little puppet that someone would go to your schools and teach, and it was essentially about teaching kids, to not, don't take drugs, be responsible and all that. And Healthy Harold was iconic because I think a lot of people resonated with this little giraffe puppet. So it was very iconically Australian. It's a shame that you never got to experience it, but for the purpose of it anyway, if I had to give you the option, would you rather have him follow you around everywhere giving you life advice, or you have to perform every week giving judgmental kids life advice?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Probably the second one, because it's interacting with other people at least.
Exactly. Even if they are judgmental. Look, primary school kids are going to be judgmental. What are you going to do? It's just the way it goes.
Yep.
Well, those are, as I always like to say on this podcast, some very diplomatic answers. So thank you for that. Because we are now moving into the last segment, the final segment of this podcast. This is called Quickfire Questions. Quickfire Questions with Lara Jean Marshall. So essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you just answer them in the most natural and honest way you can. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Start the timer ready. If your life was a movie, what would the title be and who would play you?
Title of the movie would be
Being Lisa, something like that. The Horse Tamer? It could be something like that.
oh gosh. Coma starring Lara Jean Marshall, because
Nice.
everyone always contacts me and goes, I liked that episode when you were in a coma.
Coma. Was it weird to do that, or was it just you just sit there with your eyes closed? Like, was it just boring, or what was the experience like?
Oh, I loved it because they were fluffing my pillow all the time. They were brushing my
Oh, great.
I didn't have to do any acting. I didn't have to do any lines. I just lay there. It was amazing.
Yeah, and it's beautiful anyway because, how you wake up is very special as well. So it's beautiful.
Yes.
So who would you get to play you, though? Who would be the actor or actress?
Oh goodness. So a little child, right? A little child actor.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just say, because I don't know too many Australian.
You can get yourself to play it. There's no shame in saying that.
I'd say the girl from Matilda.
Oh, yes. Oh, she's amazing. It's a great answer. She's iconic. That's fantastic. Amazing. Next question. If you could invite 3 fictional characters to a dinner party, who are you picking?
I definitely have to pick James Bond.
Oh,
I love James Bond.
Yes.
There's been so many James Bonds, but my favorite would have to be
It's
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, GoldenEye. One of my favorites, all-time favorites.
Now, I've always wanted to be like a spy, like a secret
nice.
agent. So this is right up my alley. Also, I
Amazing.
love period dramas. So Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm a big Jane Austen fan.
I was going to say a lot of our there are some Jane Austen fans watching out there. So, there you go.
Oh, okay. And also Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Such a badass.
Wrong female lead. Yes. Amazing.
Sticks up for the weaker people, not the weaker, but the people who are not as strong.
Yes.
And she took over for her sister. I mean, who does that? That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, not sure if I would do that for my sister. I love my sister. She's great. But take her place in death games? I don't know. Great answers. Those are fantastic. Next question. You wake up tomorrow and suddenly have to compete in a reality TV show. Which one are you picking?
Ooh, I would have to say Melbourne Housewives. I would love to.
Real Housewives of Melbourne.
The beautiful outfits they wear, just sipping the high life every day.
Yeah. Chardonnay by the pool. Yeah. Down in St Kilda. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great choice. I'd probably go for, I don't know, I like Survivor and I like Wipeout. Wipeout's a good show. Do you ever watch that?
Yes, I love Wipeout. I love anything physical. And I also just thought of Traitors. I would love to be on
Oh, yes.
Traitors Australia and just not know who's the traitor.
That's pretty good. Traitors, a good show. Great show. Australia's come up with some bangers. Unbelievable. Next question. If you had to live one day as any animal, which could it be and what would you do?
A turtle, because I'm a water baby and I love to swim in the sea. So just being able to be a turtle and swim around and live life, yes, please.
On this podcast, you're my fourth guest. I've already had a guest come in and talk about how much they love turtles and they would be a turtle. So there you go.
I've got a bracelet that's got turtles all over it. I love turtles.
Especially like how incredible their lives are from when they hatch. They're essentially, it's a dash to survive. Like they have about 100 meters to get to the water. Otherwise, they get eaten.
Nearly signed up to do Costa Rica, where they release the turtles and you have to protect them from the birds and everything till they get to the water. I nearly did that, but COVID hit, so I couldn't do it.
Oh, that would have been that would have been such a rewarding experience as well. It would have been so good to help them out. There you go, Lara Jean as a turtle. All right, the next question. This is an interesting one. If there was any other character in the Saddle Club that you would play other than Lisa, who would it be?
Veronica.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We hated Veronica. We hated her.
She got to be so naughty and say the most awful.
She was the posh girl, very posh, yeah.
No, and she had all the cool slicked back hair with the buns and little bow ties and things. I would have loved to wear those.
Oh, it would have been great, yeah.
And say what she said, and she definitely had fun with her part.
So the actor that plays her she does medicine now, or she's a doctor or a nurse or something like that?
Yeah, well, we didn't really stay in touch. She was older than me, so obviously I was very close with Sophie and Keenan because we had all our scenes together. But I do think I did hear that she is in medicine.
Fantastic. Look at these lives. The lives you guys are living outside of the show. It's fantastic. Amazing. Finally, the last question. If you could go back in time and give Saddle Club era Lara one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't stress too much. Have fun.
Great answer.
Have fun. You get to do something that no one else gets to do except for the people who are around you. Like, just have fun and relax, and there's so much life to be had.
Enjoy it while you're there. Exactly. We're only here for a limited time. You may as well just make the most of yourself and the people around you. So
And I need to remind that daily at the
Yeah.
moment as well. You know, when you're really stressed about something or you're anxious about something, we have to be thankful every day. You know, when we're stressed and we have anxiety, we've got a roof over our head. We're not in a war zone. We have a fridge full of food. I mean, we are lucky to have what we have, and we've got to keep on reminding ourselves of that.
that is a fantastic way to end this podcast. It has, Lara, it has been an absolute pleasure. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time today to come on and have a chat and to contribute to my little podcast, my little project, my little baby who I'm trying to sort of nurse through and hopefully grow into something bigger. So, you know, your insights today and some of the wisdom that you've shared with me and to everyone else out there, it's been once in a lifetime, and can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for coming on today.
No, thank you.
Fantastic. Catch you guys later. If you want, you can check us out on our TikTok, on our Instagram, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify accounts. Until then, see ya.